I just wanted to thank you for, accepting this request. I think that, you know, I believe that since we are living in very unprecedented times, people need to have knowledge of things. People need to have an awareness of things. Um, we can't wait for 8 billion people to wake up. It's happening. I mean, that's the reason why things are continuing the way they are, is because the mass collective of humanity is still accepting the old, paradigm, which is, this false system they call the Matrix, right? But I think that if we could bring information, to as many people as possible about their true origin, where they come from, the truth about where they come from, it's going to be a little bit easier for them to kind of snap out of the programming and come to the realization that they are it, that they're it, that everything's connected. We live in a holographic, holistic, reality where each part contains the whole. And so when people realize that, and all of these intuitions begin to open up again, because everybody has psychic abilities, everybody has ESP, but right now it's being suppressed, by all the toxins and all the chemicals and all the poisons that they've been giving society to numb and dumb people.
Mhm.
But once that is released, if we could get people to once again reconnect with their intuition, my friend, it's going to be like a whole new world. Because really, it's a war on consciousness. It's a war on to see where they can get to the greatest majority of people to create the reality by default of putting their energy into that type of system through their beliefs, of course. And it's as important as understanding these spiritual principles. Everything is vibrating, everything is energy. Like Tesla, he laid it down. If we really want to uncover the depths of all science and understand, everything, we have to see things in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. My friend, there is this phenomenon that I've come to understand as I, gone deeper into the rabbit hole, that there is this thing called the anti-particle universe. Well, I was thinking about it. I was like, why would it be called the anti-particle universe? Well, do you remember that double slit experiment that they did that has many scientists baffling even up to today, indicating that it is the absorber that collapses the wave function into the particles, allowing for, space, matter, and time to exist?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, oh my God, I came to understand that we exist in a dual type of universal structure. Right now, we are currently only perceiving what is known as the particle universe. In the particle universe, the infinite ocean of energy, which scientists now talk about as the unified force, is broken off into different layers. And each layer has its own level of collapsed reality, you can say. But it's all one singular light force, divided into different vibrations, different frequencies, tones, and of course, each one has its own thing, but yet they're all different fragments of this one singular light. Okay, so scientists have done this experiment where they were able to show that all reality is again, basing it back on the double slit experiment is just a collapsing of the wave function into the particle form. Now, going back to this idea of this anti-particle universe, well, that's the universe, or the structure of reality, where it's just one field of infinite potential energy. And the thing about it is that we as people within the particle universe have the ability, through spiritual practices such as meditation and breath work and other things, to connect with that aspect of ourselves where everything is just one singular consciousness. Because from what I've come to gather, at the end of everything, all fundamental forces, they are all reduced to that one singular energy field. They call it, whatever it is. Everything collapses into that. Like, yeah. So that to me was just like was baffling. I'm not baffling, but intriguing. That's the word, intriguing. It was very intriguing to come to understand that everything's a simulation, every dimension. We're just experiencing the lowest density of light, energy, vibration. But as we raise our frequency through our consciousness, we go into a lesser dense field of reality, or vibrational plane of existence, right? And we call it higher dimensions, but what they really are is just light energy vibrating at faster frequencies, allowing the matter to become more supple and more, fluid-like, as opposed to this solid congealed. It seems like we're kind of trapped right now in matter, right? So
Yeah.
I've discovered that every dimension is pretty much a simulation. It is a construct that is existing within the particle universe. But this is the thing, we exist in both. There is all this evidence is coming forward that is telling us that we actually exist in both the particle construct and the anti-particle, where everything collapses into, again, this infinite ocean of wave potential, whatever you want to call it, known by many names. And so we have the power to kind of reconnect with that aspect of ourselves. I don't know if that makes any sense. And
yeah,
that's how the powers come into play, my friend.
Right. That's where, like, because there's so many different theories. Like I went to this seminar several years ago, Contact in the Desert, and for people who are interested in extraterrestrials, UFOs, and things of that nature. When you hear people talk who really dedicated their life to figuring out what life is and all these different concepts, people who have clearance to go to Antarctica, people that have seen things that they can't quite explain. For me, what gives me peace within all of this, from my journey, going on shamanic journeys, going on vision quests, lots of different forms of meditation, that we're not all, this is where there's like different levels, as I'm sure you've experienced in the journey of awakening, of self-discovery, of who am I, why am I here, what is my purpose, that some people are meant to believe one way and some people are meant to believe another way. And one of my mentors, Shaman Durek, Durek, he's amazing, and one of the things that he helped me with was, one day he was doing a live stream and we were talking, and he said, you need to stop resenting humanity. And this was several years ago. And I really stopped and I thought about that, how we live in this world of like, oh, they're in the Matrix. Oh, they're NPCs. Oh, they're background characters. Oh, they're not real. Oh, I'm the chosen one. All these different kind of concepts, that it's really being able to understand the concept of mirroring, and when there's something that I don't like about you, then that's because there's something that I don't like about myself. And also understanding that people are also showing us how we believe about ourselves and what our beliefs are on life. And also, really what started to become interesting within my life was when I really started to focus on my beliefs and really started to focus on changing my beliefs. I was walking, when I lived in Manhattan, I was walking, going to my P.O. box, and I just started creating the belief in my life when I would walk down the street of, what if the people in front of me knew that somebody important, that royalty was coming through? Not to say that I'm better than them, but just purely out of an experiment kind of thing to do, to see, like, if I truly believe that, and I projected that forward. And I noticed as I kept on doing this, eventually I got people to naturally start walking to the side. So for me, life is truly what I believe it to be. And then when I see other people who don't have my belief system, this is where, for me, one of my main goals has always been that I want to make the concept of reincarnation mainstream, which it is in other parts of the world. And when we look at reincarnation, we can understand why other people don't match our belief systems, that people are meant to learn about different lessons. In the same way I've done past life regression, and when people who don't even know my story tell me, hey, like, in this lifetime you felt this way and this way, and that's directly connected to why I keep on having these feelings when I get around this person or these circumstances. So the only way that I've made peace in my life is by going into these studies, what you're talking about, going into the ancient wisdom stuff, and finding the balance so that I'm not resenting the other people who are quote unquote sleeping. They're a mirror to show me, hey, you have a solution. You can do something about this. You can change the world. So I'm going to keep on doubting you and putting fear into your life and putting anger into your life to see if you're going to give me anger back, or if you are going to show me love and be that nurturing parent, that other person never had. So being able to make peace that other people may never believe how I believe. However, when I show you love and you feel good about yourself, that will naturally change who you are. And that's where in all of this conversation, what we're doing right now that we're in this age of Aquarius, is we're going into the space of I know. And when I know, when I'm confident, when I'm secure, if you tell me that I'm stupid, if you tell me that I'm wrong, and I actually attack you or I put you down, I actually doubt myself. I think that there's truth in what you're saying. So now for me, it's just being able to show people. There's a lot of theories about dimensions. There's a lot of theories, and I love all the different theories, and I'm open to explore any one of those because none of us truly know the meaning of life. For me, when I just show people love, when I connect with gratitude, and when I actively listen to other people and understand, just because I'm seeing it this way doesn't mean that's the only option, doesn't mean that that's how I have to approach things. For me, it's being able to understand that when I know who I am, then I can go out into the world like a child and really be more intuitive. And lastly, that's why people are feeling crazy right now. The reason why people feel stuck and crazy and weird and out of sorts, we're not used to following our intuition this much. We're not used to trusting ourselves this much. We're not used to being this self-focused, this self-absorbed this much, and really doing things that don't feel logical with how we thought. So the more that we're able to get into this space of, I'm trusting my intuition, I'm not hurting anybody, but this feels crazy, but I'm going to keep on going down this path and letting go of control and letting go of expectation, that's where everything opens up, and that's where you're able to really find the connection. And then you see, the more that you believe and strengthen your belief, and the more that you really actively understand that other people have beliefs and you honor those beliefs, this is where you light the way, you become the leader, instead of resenting that other people aren't, whatever, eating plant-based meals, respecting Mother Nature or whatever. We get frustrated because we're the leader. It is our trauma that blocks us. So what we're doing right now is waking up to that fact so that the rest of the people who are 20, 30, 80, 90 years old, that are children, that haven't healed their wounds, we the people who've gone through these traumatic, devastating, kind of events and circumstances in our life, moving forward, the ones who have felt unwanted, unloved, unappreciated are now starting to lead the way. And that's why people are like, this is so crazy because I don't want to work this job. I don't want to be in this relationship. I don't even know what I want to do right now, but I'm going to go for it and I'm just going to trust. And so it's being able to operate from that space of, that's your belief, that's cool. Let me show you love. Let me show you this way. And let's see if we can, find compromise and find a connection, and I honor your story and you honor mine. And in that way, we learn and we grow from each other.
Ah, perfectly well said, my brother. I mean, that pretty much sums it up. Imagine if everybody adapted that mentality. I mean, this would be heaven overnight.
But that's the thing though, right? Is that the reason why I got here, as soon as I started letting go of the concept of time to say, like, it, even though I want to do this thing, logically, factually around me, that's not showing up. So I can keep on pushing and being stubborn and forcing and forcing and forcing, right? Because that's how it was before. Like, I'm like, I'm talented, you're not seeing me. I'm talented, you're not seeing. No, I wasn't seeing myself, right? So this is where even in astrology, like, I'm 38 years old. I got told by an astrologist in my early to mid 30s that the first 30 years of my life was going to suck. And then afterwards, everything was going to start clicking and opening up. But we get manipulated into thinking astrology is bad or astrology is evil, or the newspaper says, today you're feeling lucky. And you're like, I don't feel lucky at all. That doesn't apply to me. Astrology, the depths of it, really help you understand. Like, my wife and I were talking about this last night, like, and this was really more of her awareness. So I want to give her credit to say, your birthday is like a code. And when you look at your birthday and when you look astrologically, you're like, oh my God, I chose everything. Like, I'm a Scorpio stellium, so I have more than 3 planets in Scorpio. And the way that it got explained to me in layman's terms, just in simple format, is that I'm here to learn as much as I possibly can to share with other people. When I heard it in the way that they phrased it, I was like, oh my God, that's why I just kept on learning and learning and learning and learning. And then finally, in divine timing, I'm able to communicate that with people. So I appreciate when people say like, oh, I like this way of thinking, or I like how you say that. It's honoring the fact that the people that don't align with our message, the narcissist, the person who's not emotionally aware, the person who doesn't take the time, is saying, you have a purpose, so I'm going to drive you crazy, and I'm going to manipulate you and gaslight you and tell you that you're wrong and that you're stupid, until you actually rise up and you trust yourself and you speak up. And then there you start to see the power that you possess. This is why they say life is a game, because afterwards you realize, like how I did, I'm like, oh my God, like I've been so doubtful because of this one person. And that's where you can laugh at that illusion of like, wow, I really thought that I had it figured out. Then when I started doing what society tells us is greedy or selfish, all of a sudden, all these amazing, kind, generous, loving, solution-based people come into my life that I'm like, oh, I needed to love myself. I needed to focus on myself. I got lied to by society. Thank you for the lie. Now I can help other people in my own authentic language, and the other people who aren't meant to receive it, maybe next lifetime, maybe never. However, the people that do receive it, that are really open to it, that's where we build community, and that's where we find purpose, instead of, this is my age, this is where I should be at, and I'm not there, so now I'm not good enough. This is the beautiful part of the awakening, is being able to express the anger and express the sadness and release all of that, to see. And this is why I
Yeah.
love that you're talking about this. That's where you see that life is a game. That's where you see like, oh my God, my soul misses the devastation. My soul misses the heartbreak, because when you and I cross over, everything's perfect. There is no pain. There is no suffering. We actually yearn for this, to see, lastly, if we have the courage to be curious, to pick ourselves up, to forgive other people without that expectation, and to be open-minded, and to see, is this truth or is there more truths? And your truth and my truth might not be the same. However, let me do my best to understand your truth, because maybe you don't connect with my story. Vulnerably, emotionally, however, if I told you I felt unwanted in my life, I put all my chips on the fact that you felt that way before. Now we're the same.
Exactly. And that's the only way to evolve when you think about it. Cooperation is key. Think about all the trillions or billions of cells in your body working together, cooperating to make your body just function perfectly. Everything in place, the bowels, the cardiovascular circuitry, the nervous system, the skeletal structure. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, that's a perfect example of how we, the human race, should be. Instead of competing with one another, I think the key into building a co-heaven on earth is cooperation, brotherhood, sisterhood. That's it.
Yeah.
Learn to just not impose our beliefs on others. And accepting everybody's uniqueness in that regard. And
Yes.
that's finding unity and diversity. And that's exactly the same mentality that advanced spiritual civilizations adopt, by the way. That's why they're so ahead of us. We have the potential to become something greater than just what they told us we were. And I've always believed that humans have how can I say it? We're different. Despite the fact that there are many human-like races in many universes, there's something unique about us here on this planet. We read about how like human beings here are, the culmination of a long genetic program that has been going on for millions, perhaps even billions of years. And as a result, we carry the greatest diversity of emotional spectrum because of that, right? We carry the best genes of all the different races out there. And also because of that, we have a great potential that eventually, if we learn how to harness our full ability, our full potential, we actually become something that, that is reaching levels of power that's never been heard of before. I mean, we hear about this stuff, like there is so much potential in us. And I think that the interdimensional beings from higher levels of reality, right, the interstellar races, cosmic societies, I think they see that in us. So, and they all know that, by the way, they all know that,
Right.
And so what I'm starting to believe, my friend, is that these extraterrestrials, these other dimensionals, are not separated from us. I'm starting to think that they're future versions of us, and all we have to do is integrate with that aspect of ourselves that exists in these higher levels of reality, where we are like, interstellar guardians, where we are, you know, superhuman, like metahumans. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
believe.
This is where, and it's like the level of normalizing these conversations is where we're going into now. Like around 2 or 3 years ago, a lot of people at the beginning of the lockdown and really around like 2021, myself included, just started seeing visions, just started having awarenesses, started seeing stuff. Like I did QHHT, quantum healing hypnotherapy, and I had a whole vision that was outside of this planet, and everything was very, very clear. And the level of not making myself crazy and normalizing that, and then starting to, specifically when I started streaming on TikTok, I started meeting people that were initially looking to book time with me to talk about emotional intelligence. And then all of a sudden, both of us have this awareness that we've met before, but we haven't met physically in this lifetime. And seeing this connection, that, I mean, even cell phones are reverse engineered alien technology. If you really, really go down that rabbit hole, you'll see that, right? And then being able to understand the only way that we're finding our people, the only way that we're able to awaken is through this technology. That people, I can hold up a phone and say, look, this is what I've been trying to tell you. Look, this has been going on for centuries. This has been going on for a while. There it is. You've just never seen it before. So what we're doing right now is we're going through family therapy, where one person wants to talk and share their side of the story, and then the therapist says, okay, I hear you. This other person wants to interrupt, and they're like, hold on, they're going to tell you how they feel about their life. Then that person finishes, then this other person says, but this is my side, and this is what you've done to me, and I don't like you because of this. So this is where right now in this journey is being able to, when you go to couples therapy or when you go to family therapy, there's a lot of uncomfortable truths that we're discovering about life. And John Lennon said it best. They're like, when we're living, we look like, oh, father will take care of it, dad will take care of it, and father is the government. And we just been in this space of like, look, that's wrong. Look, oh my God, somebody should do something about that. Now what people are realizing is it's us who must have these conversations. It's us who must understand each other and then find this common ground and then be able to see. And again, for me, it's like some of the visions, some of the downloads and stuff that I've gotten is like, I deliberately chose to confuse myself. I deliberately chose to feel powerless until I met this woman who's now my wife, and all of the battles mentally and all of the chances and all of the intuition, where there was all of these blocks and all this stuff, and I just kept on trusting my intuition. And when we tuned into it, because my wife is a shaman, she's a medium, she's a Reiki master, she's into astrology, and we both of us have this understanding that we've met before, and what we've been able to create because we took so many chances and had this blind faith and had this intuition. Now I have this amazing purpose-filled relationship that we met off of TikTok, right? So it's being able right now, again, to go more into an intuitive space and to really allow other people to have their beliefs. And then when we are comfortable and when we're confident within who we are, other people see how good that is and they follow suit. And my analogy for this is just like a child. When a child sees another child having a good time, they want to play with that child. So instead of us shaming people and saying, you should be awoke like me, you should do it this way, you should do it this way and this way and this way, it's really being able to understand we're getting into a space of making peace to say, I fully embrace who I am. I accept who I am. And even though you don't believe this way, I'm just going to show you this love and I'm going to show you what this is like. And if you want to come on this journey, cool. Otherwise, I'm not going to attack you and put you down. And the more that we're able to see people who don't show their emotions and people who don't understand what you and I are talking about, and again, it's not that we're better. It's that I know that I'm an old soul. I know that I've been around since the beginning of the beginning. We're not the first civilization here on this planet. And so all of how you and I get frustrated, the reason why we get frustrated is because it's almost as if we deliberately block our intuition on this planet. Some people call it a prison planet, some people call it a simulation, however you want to phrase it. It's almost like we deliberately are like, I don't want to remember anything down there, because when I leave this planet, I'm so powerful, I'm so infinite, I'm so capable of doing anything that that's boring, that I can just snap my fingers and have it. So I'm going to deliberately forget about what I'm capable of. I'm going to deliberately be insecure. For me, it was, I'm going to sign up to have 2 lesbian mothers. My father's going to be gay. I'm going to be an artificial insemination. I'm going to grow up in poverty, and and then we're going to leave that neighborhood. I'm going to learn about abandonment and codependency. I'm going to learn what it's like to be around people who look like me but don't know their culture. I'm going to learn about classism and being bullied. I'm going to learn about being taken advantage of and being in an abusive relationship. And I'm hating all of this until all of a sudden one day, intuitively, I decided to post a video, and I almost stopped myself because I didn't like how I looked. And then I realized that didn't make any sense, because I don't want people in my life who judge me. And so I doubled down on that. And then all of a sudden it was like, our vulnerability, the thing that I think you would never understand, is actually what lights up the world. It's actually what makes the difference. And this is where, again, people are losing their you know what, because our cognitive dissonance has been so much like, you are never going to understand what I've been through. There's no way a guy like you're healthy, you come from a different part. There's no way you could understand what I feel like. But when I do that, and like a child, hey, I've gone through some stuff, and I want to know if anybody feels like me. All of a sudden, there's all of these amazing people that are like, oh, I felt that way too. I felt that way too. I love how you're able to say that. And it's like, the journey is it is a game, because you're like, wow, my whole life I put up a trust wall. And then when I actually was like, this is exhausting, and I have to, for my sanity, for my survival, to know that there's somebody else out there like me. Look where we are now. Look, and I never thought it would be this way. I never thought it would be through social media. It was my trust and me saying, hey, like, I'm strong, and I also, I'm alone here, and I'm feeling alone, and I'm not seeing my people, and I need to know, when there's 8 billion people, I need to know for my sanity there's one more person. Now here we are, and apparently there's more.
Oh yes, there are millions of us on the planet, and you're right, brother. You know, what started off as a way to spy on us and gather all our data, fed to Google, um,
Yeah.
who has all the data, right? But I'm sure they're under BlackRock, and anyways. But the whole point is, we're using it against them to spread the information, to network, to build the community, to pretty much connect, worldwide. I believe that there are 70 million strong old souls, as you would call them. People use the word star seeds, celestials in human form. But you're right, we've been around for, we're ancient. We've been around even perhaps before the creation of the first universe. That's how
Right.
ancient we are. And now we're like part of the 12th creation. But anyways, the whole point is, everybody has purpose. That's why different levels of consciousness and what they called awakenedness, states of different awakened realities exist. Not
Yes.
everybody's supposed to make it this round, in this time around. But like you said, through reincarnation, we're able to, if we don't like a schooling grading system, if we're not able to
Yep.
pass, be initiated to the next level, what we do is repeat it again. Once we
That's the
master that
best.
round, we go to the next.
That's the best part of this, is that's where, like, the more that you
Always get a
study.
chance.
There's actually a documentary on Netflix called Ghost Inside My Child that I recommend for people to check out, because when you really go into reincarnation, this is where, the next time that I see somebody who's suffering or struggling, I'm like, I don't feel bad for you. I don't know where this is going to take you. I don't know what lesson you're learning. I know that when I was 4 years old, I told my mom I wanted to go back to heaven, and I hated it here. I hated poverty, because I was working through a lifetime where I was royalty, and it was, give me your gold, give me the loot, off with your head, I'm burning your village. I like all that stuff. I don't care about you. Now I'm over here like, hey, let's all love each other. Let's forgive each other. And that's where, again, life is a game, and it's an illusion, and it's like a comedy skit. It's whatever you make it to be. That, I can look at something and say, I want to be in love, and I want to have a happy relationship, And then I don't realize this person, this narcissistic abusive relationship I was in, she was the test for me. She was the master class for me. That was like, she was just one gigantic mirror. Good person, toxic relationship, toxic parents, toxic communication. I learned all of that. And because I had that grace, because I don't know what I'm doing, and I just kept on listening to that quiet voice, all of that stuff that I had gone through started to make sense. And it was through stuff like shamanism and through meditation where I saw, oh, 360 degree. That's why this happened that way. That's what I learned from this. Wow, thank you. Oh, you signed up to be in a relationship with me to drive me crazy, to help wake people up. I can spend 10 years in that, even though that felt at times like torture and it felt like this episode of the Twilight Zone. I can honor you, don't have to be around and fix you and be stuck in all of that stuff that I went through, but I honor you and I thank you for that. And then in divine timing, then I can move forward and just keep on trusting and keep on expanding. But we don't get taught that. We get taught, get married, fall in love, have children, get a pet, get a home, get a backup home, get a yacht, have $1 million, be an influencer, always look good and never look bad, right? And that's where you see the spiritual war. That's where you see the powers that be that have been controlling things. They understand these concepts. They understand psychology. You look at stuff like they got to classify the hemisync one, the hemisync meditation. I can't think of
it was a
gateway
project.
process, the gateway process. You look up the gateway process and you see the powers that are making decisions for us have declassified documents. They're like, hey, did you know that you can create a wand and you can turn it into a color and you can put energy into this invisible wand and you can zap other people and you can zap yourself and you can heal people? Like, imagine turning on the news and hearing that. That sounds like some elementary school, you're crazy, oh, little Billy's using his imagination. This is the government that's saying this, right?
Exactly.
So that's why now, lastly, now all of this information in the age of Aquarius, that's why you can't, if you're shady, if you're unethical, if you're still in extrovert presentation, I have to look good mode, that's why you're feeling crazy. That's why life isn't making sense. And this is where all of the people who have been a burden and have been abandoned and have been beaten down are starting to realize, I cannot accept mediocrity. I cannot accept feeling silenced. I cannot accept $10, $15, $20 an hour minimum wage jobs. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I cannot do this anymore. And that's what's exciting. And then you and I realize, oh, we planned to be here. We divinely timed all of the planets and everything to be here right now for us to play this game, for us to challenge our beliefs, and again, to see if we can find each other and connect dots and then light the world up and show people the love that they've been looking for in a different way.
And that's how the concept of the 144,000 has been prophesied about. You know, every religious text talks about this group of people coming back, cultivating and activating the Christ mind worldwide, like a network of light. Nothing to do with religion, of course. Just universal consciousness, universal awareness of all living things, and how we are really just an intricate part of that web of life that actually connects all of the universe. And I agree with you. You know, I think people are starting to discover that, and I love that you are into emotional intelligence, because, you know, our society for the most part has been so wayward that they pretty much determine our level of intelligence by just testing out our ability to memorize what they teach us, and which is totally left brain oriented, when what we really should be developing and enhancing is emotional intelligence, because that's our right brain, that's our intuition, that's how we're able to process negative emotion, trauma, in order to transmute and rise. And that's how we ascend. We ascend through the transmutation process. It goes hand in hand with reaching higher levels of consciousness and densities that are, less physical, is through transmuting lower dense energies. And that's the secret right there, by the way. That's how we become wizards. That's how we become restored to our multidimensional existence, is through the transmutation of lower density, which is pretty much represented by what? By anger, resentment, holding guilt, holding shame, all those negative feelings weigh you down. It's okay to feel them, but learn how to work through them, transmute them, and then master them, because the whole point is to
Right.
master our emotions. I believe that one of the greatest secrets that all the ancient mystical, whether you're a shaman, a saint, a mystic, a yogi, they all agree that the ultimate enlightenment is pretty much having absolute control of your emotions and thoughts. Imagine if you have absolute 100% control of your emotions and thoughts. And if through emotions and thoughts, we are co-creating a reality, oh my God, everybody would be manifesting. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, this is the thing. This is the thing too. It's like the reason why I got into the conversation and started developing and focusing on emotional intelligence is because, again, I love all the spiritual conversations. I love all the theories of what is possible, right? Like that fascinates me because, again, none of us truly really know. My thing has always been I want to, while people are exploring and figuring out what connects, what lights them up, what path they're going to take or whatever, I feel like we're looking for, I want to give you a universal truth. So it's not my truth, it's not your truth, it is the truth. So for example, Dr. Luc Montagnier, the person who discovered the HIV AIDS virus, if you look on YouTube and you type in water memory documentary, it's not Dr. Emoto, it's not that one where he plays sounds in water and it changes the shapes. This is the person who discovered the HIV AIDS virus, and he takes the sound recording of AIDS that's in water and he sends that off to a laboratory. And when you watch that, I don't want to give it away because it's amazing. And all these other scientists were trying to stop him. They're like, this guy's lost his mind, he's old, he's washed up. And he proves what we've been talking about with sound frequency, and how you can hurt and heal people through sound frequency, right? And even years ago in San Francisco, they're using, in the tech world, they're using sound frequency for levitation. And this was on the news. And the same sound frequencies that they're using that are for levitation in the tech world now, in the world we live in now, resonate in the pyramids of Egypt, right? So we're moving backward and forward at the same time. And this is where life is starting to actually make sense, where again, like through meditation, I started healing my skin, my hair, my teeth, my posture, my body, everything about myself, because I was able to actually connect with a younger, healthier version of myself. And he told me, you are me. Look, you're just like me. You're me. And my mom one day called me up and was like, what have you been doing? I'm like, meditating. She's like, really? I'm like, I know. It's crazy, right? But this is where what we're realizing now is that the strongest thing that we have is our belief, really. So you and I can be in the same room and we can have two completely different perspectives based off of our astrological choices and all these different concepts that we believe and don't believe and know and don't know. And we can navigate through that situation in two entirely different ways. And then, on top of that, this is why I love going into these conversations, because people who've had NDEs, near-death experiences, people who have crossed over will tell you, any way you go, any relationship that you choose, that lesson that you are meant to learn here now is still going to pop up. And if you choose to go into those spaces, you will learn something, and then you will keep on advancing and growing, and then you discover what it is to be the creator. You discover that you have the creator within you. You discover all these interesting concepts. And then again, I can have compassion for other people, where I'm like, I get why that politician is doing that, because I used to be that way in another lifetime, because I was also powerless. So instead of me pointing the finger and saying, I hate corrupt politicians, I'm now dad who's going to go into these spaces. Like my wife and I have a nonprofit called One Source Action, onesourceaction.org, that's based off of social justice, educational justice, environmental justice, respecting the people that are indigenous to this land and indigenous to their land, and being able to give people actual change in this world collectively, so it's not about us. And we can go into spaces and have difficult conversations, and again, empower people around us, instead of just saying, I don't like that you're doing this and you're doing that. Okay, like what are these fingers pointing back? These fingers are showing me, as much as I don't like you, I'm not doing anything. I'm expecting for you to fix all of my problems. So instead, when those of us who've been in these traumatic spaces start to realize, oh my God, I can actually do something. Let me break this down into 10,000 pieces. Now, instead of me resenting this person who's that politician or that narcissist or that toxic person that's like, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're this way or that way, I'm like, oh, you've never had love. Let me show you love. Let me show you what love is. And let me not expect anything. And when I keep on showing you this love and acknowledge instead of hating you because you're not passing laws that can empower my communities and the people that I love, you're actually feeling powerless and you got a job because dad attacked you and you want to feel powerful. And that's the only roadmap you have to power. Now we can have a conversation, understand each other, and have a breakthrough. And then we can stop this abusive relationship on planet Earth of everybody should do things my way and everybody should be high vibration, when it's like, no, your anger is your intuition. Your sadness wants to be cried. That part of you that hates wants a parent. You want love. We get lied to in new age spirituality, thinking that we're always supposed to have organic food and always supposed to be in this space. And it's like, no, we're going into the matrix to understand how the matrix works, to use the ingredients that the matrix has. And then we're being able to say, all right, here's the love, here's the ancient wisdom. And again, no expectation. But if you want to go with me, you can go with me and we can create community in this way. And again, to your point, everybody else who's learning a different lesson in life, enjoy that. There are people that have passed away and came back to earth that were atheists, that were like, oh my God, I chose to not believe in God. Yes, so enjoy that. Enjoy that. I honor you, and I don't need for you to go on my journey, because you just might be that soul contract that's saying, I'm going to put fear into your life. Are you still going to believe what you're saying and find your 144,000 or 144 million or whatever number it is? Or are you going to bend over backwards because you think that you need to fix me when I don't need to be fixed? I'm just a mirror that's showing you that you can't control certain things.
Exactly. That's what everything boils down to. Everything in our outer reality is a reflection of the inner reality. And again, it goes back to the concept of the inner self, which is connected to the anti-particle universe, as opposed to the outer self, which is connected to the particle universe, which is really just a bunch of empty space when you really consider that even matter is empty space at subatomic level. It's just interesting the way, the paradoxes of life, man, and just how everything is a lie. Everything that we've ever been taught is a lie.
Right.
I guess that's the conclusion that I've come to discover, So,
well, it's like everything is a story. Everything is a belief that we're meant to learn and observe, and then we tell ourselves the story, the trauma story that nobody understands, and then should we so choose, we unlearn that in order to learn a new way, and then in that space we make meaning. And then when you look at it that way, you're like, oh, so this is a game. We just haven't been given the rules to it. And again, other people are playing a different game. But when you realize you learn to unlearn, to reinterpret, that's where you start to believe and start to understand, like, oh, so I'm constantly making meaning. And when I understand that I'm always making meaning, this is where I actually slow down instead of getting lied to by society. If I have to hustle and never be good enough, that's where I can slow down and realize there's a lot of different meanings that I can make. And this is where I can actually slow down and choose to make the best meaning that empowers me, that's not hurting anybody else. And in that way, when life doesn't make sense, when I have those frustrating days, that anger, that agitation, instead of doing what I used to do and being like, I hate this, I should just always smile, I'm like, oh, I'm going to pull up an old wound. I'm going to pull up some trauma and I'm going to reinterpret that. And then I'm going to forgive that person and scream and cry out all of that imposter syndrome. And then in that way, that's where I get this joy. That's where I get this peace. And I can just constantly say, what's the meaning that I'm making? Who am I today? And how can I find that happiness instead of needing to always feel joyful and smiley? I find happiness in discovering trauma. I find happiness in discovering insecurity, and then I get peace in that way.
Oh, yeah, and none of us could dodge that, We're all immune. None of us are, what's the word I'm looking for? Immune to that. Everybody has bad days and, moments where they feel like, they go on a low vibration, and it's normal, and that's when we have the ability to what to actually feel and self-analyze and self-reflect as to why we're like that, and then see it as, like you said, see it as an educational thing. There's a lesson always to be learned, right? See it as a blessing in disguise. There's always a lesson in everything, and people adopt that. You're right. That's the ultimate enlightenment right there, because eventually we stopped to react, and what we become is observers of just life. You know what I mean? Seeing it as a game, and that's the whole purpose. Is to get to a non-reactive position, to be in that
That's
state.
why that's why I love like shamanism, for example. Yeah. Every shaman that I've ever worked with, every time that I'm like, this is an irritation that I have, the first question that I get asked is, what does this remind you of? Or when did this first show up in your life before this moment? And I'm like, oh my God, I know exactly, when I tune into my intuition, this is exactly what it is. Wait a second, you're telling me that there's a line of people that are just lining up to be like, hey, you're stupid, do you believe me? Hey, you're stupid. Hey, I'm gonna take away everything that you like. You're stupid, do you still believe me? And that's where, again, when you start to go into those spaces, that's where, when you step outside of the crying and the screaming and the pain of like, I just want to be attractive, I just want validation from everybody. You're like, this is really a game. It really is an illusion. And we come down here to make our meaning. And there's no good meaning, there's no bad meaning. However, we will, even in ancient Egypt, they talked about this. You're going to get the review, and you're going to see what you created, how you made other people feel. And then you're going to see that no matter which path you would have taken, those lessons still would have shown up. So that person who is homophobic, that person who is racist, that person who is ignorant is like, all right, you know what? I was an asshole. I wasn't the best version of myself. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come down to planet Earth in my next lifetime, and I'm going to experience my life as that person that I attacked. When people are ready to have that conversation, this is where reincarnation removes racism, it removes homophobia, it removes hate, it removes all the things that we don't like. That's why they took that concept away from us. Because again, I understand that I was a jerk. I understand that I was greedy. I also understand that I was enlightened and I was loved in different lifetimes. I still need to work off these lessons. And in that way, I'm not good, I'm not bad. I'm just choosing and choosing and choosing and interpreting and choosing over and over and over again. And then the theory that I like is we're experiencing all of this to see what it is to be the creator, to actually understand how much patience, unconditional love actually requires.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't say it better myself. Wow, this is amazing. Just to understand that there's a lot of people out there, millions of us, that already think this way. That's the reason why the planet is moving up. That's the reason why the planet is purifying itself. Because of this new found mentality that many people are cultivating.
And this is, I was going to say too, this is where, we want to encourage people that are in tough spots and difficult situations. Follow this man, go on your journey, check out channels like the Gaia Network, watch people like Billy Carson, Forbidden Knowledge #4, like get involved in conversations about ancient wisdom. Because when I was in the abusive relationship, I was like, well, just in one lifetime, if I pass away, I'm going to come back here. So now I can stop putting so much pressure on myself. That's why I love, and I honor you for having me on, because I want to encourage people, like, double down on your journey, like go on this journey. It's amazing. And it helps you when life feels gigantic and impossible. And there's this big feeling that you have and you can't explain it and describe it to people. When you go into ancient wisdom, when you go into these conversations, I can breathe a little bit more, and I can let go of this thing of like, you don't understand me, that I can double down and say, like, I'm going to go find my people. Maybe it's Ishmael, maybe it's this person, maybe it's that person. I'm going to go find my people. And then in that way, now I can breathe, and now I have purpose, and now I can laugh at these illusions of like, I thought that I needed to be famous. I thought that I needed success. No, I just wanted love. I thought that I needed to be married and needed to have children. No, I wanted to know that I was loved. Oh my God, it's an inside job. And every single person, yourself included, is reminding me of that. You just do it different ways than that other person does. And it's up to me to interpret, to make that meaning.
Yeah, I agree. And that is the key. Love is the formula. It's what glues the entire cosmos together. And I think that every being does not only deserves but yearns to be loved. It's a natural, it's a natural, you could say, need. It's a
Yeah.
natural, and what I mean by natural, it's part of our, it's part of our, how can I say it? It's ingrained in us. It's part of
Mhm.
our soul essence. It's part of our soul essence to want to be accepted, to want to be loved, to feel nurtured, to feel accepted, to be connected, to have these great positive relationships. It's deep within us, and that's where we're heading. That's where we're heading. This yearning.
Yes, and the interesting thing is that we all do that in different ways, right? There's an interesting book called The Afterlife of Billy Fingers, and there's this woman who's a songwriter that isn't very spiritual, and her brother crosses over, and he was an addict his entire life. She starts to get messages from him, and he says what many other people say. He shows the process, like, hey, if I'd gone this way, still would have gone through this, still would have gone through this. It's at the end of the book that he realizes that he's incredibly way more powerful than he was ever taught on planet Earth, and really sees who it is. And again, I don't want to give it away. I want to encourage people to go check it out and go read and see this, so that you're getting it from the source. And that's where, again, we get hustled to, where the people that are the younger souls, the people that are just going on, I want to be beautiful, I want to be pretty, I want to have power, I want to have money. Ironically, on this planet, a lot of times they get positions of power. The people outside of this planet that are powerful are like, I want to be homeless, I want to be addicted to drugs, I want to be in an abusive relationship. I'm gonna question my existence. I'm gonna want to end my life. I'm gonna hate myself. Life isn't gonna make sense. I want to struggle. I want to go into the dirt. And then you cross over, and it's like, again, snap my fingers and I have it. And that's where we're changing this consciousness, and we're changing this conversation, and to encourage people to be excited about where you're at, because we do outnumber that narcissism and that fear and those other illusions. And finally, people are starting to wake up to be like, I mean, I was watching a video on TikTok yesterday. This guy has a Gucci shirt on, and he's like, I have no loyal friends. I have no people. I'm all alone. I hate my life. And it's like, yeah, yeah, that I've been in those circles. That's exhausting. And we realize we're living for every other person. So now what we're realizing is, this is an inside job. And again, when I observe other people, I honor that they are showing a mirror to me to say, how do you feel about yourself? Who are you today? What are you capable of? How are you going to react if I don't like who you are? Are you still going to honor your story and still love yourself, even though this one person is holding this gigantic illusion right there in your face? Are you going to have your faith, or are you going to say, I don't want to die unless I have every single thing checked off in this box of this illusion of who I think I should be, versus being able to say, death is inevitable. So when I own that, now I can make peace and really step into who I am, and stop living for all of these other people simply because I didn't get acknowledgement from mom or dad when I was a child.
I think you nailed it again. That's what it all boils down to. My God, brother, it's good to finally meet somebody who lives his divine, masculine, divine self, who is rooted and established, and just, I mean, you're really grounded, and I sense that, and I see that, and your energy is just, believe it or not, it's positively affecting everybody who you come in contact with. So I just want you to know that, it's keep up the good vibe,
Hey,
good
thank
vibe.
you. That takes one to know one. It takes one to know one. And I want to encourage everybody who's watching this to understand, this wasn't who I was before. This essence always existed within me. I
Hmm. Yep.
snapped because of the abusive relationship. And I was like, all right, I'm telling my story. And that's and because lastly is that I got so angry at myself and so resentful and so like, that I was like, all right, this is who I am. This is what I've gone through. Let like who out there has been, then the universe, creator, everything goes, oh, so you're good with your anger? Oh, so you're gonna trust, you're gonna follow your intuition? Oh, so you're tired of playing the validation game? Amazing. And I'm like, fine, then I'm gonna go tell you who I am. And the universe is like, good, well done. And I'm like, what? So again, watch out for everybody who's listening. Watch out for that illusion that nobody understands, and watch out for that illusion of I take pride in being strong. I take pride in putting up walls. I take pride in shutting down and keeping my eyes down and thinking that nobody understands me. I take pride in fixing everybody else because I don't think that I'm worth it and I don't deserve it. I feel like I have to see every relationship all the way through. Watch out for that. Nobody understands me. All of that stuff. And the biggest thing that I can encourage everybody right now to do is to go into those spaces where there was injustice and scream and yell and give that younger version of you a chance to really, really let it out, or to cry and to have big snotty tears and to give them a chance. You can hate the people that made you and still love them. It's giving that younger version of you a chance to say, this was my side of the story. Then we come in as our own mother and father and say, hey, now I'm going to show you what dad went through and what mom went through, and that you were meant to learn these lessons. And we're not meant to have Disney's mom and dad and fairy tale illusion, whatever. And now you're going to go into your purpose, fully forgiving them, thanking them for what they taught us. And then with our vulnerability, honoring our story and being open-minded, this is where we find our community, find our people, find our purpose, and honor anybody who puts you down, who hates on you, who attacks you, is saying, I've never had your love. I don't know how to navigate around that, but I want attention. I don't even want to ask for help because I tried before and I've been hurt. So this is where we want to be patient around people who promote hate and promote fear because they're children. It's mom and dad's time, and mom and dad are those of us that have those scars, thinking that nobody understands. We understand, and we're out there. You're finding us digitally. We're here, and there's more of us.
Yes, and we are gathering the team worldwide. Soon we're going to be unstoppable. But my friend, it was an honor and great pleasure to chat with you. You have a
Yes.
lot of wisdom, and it seems like you are an example of a healed person, a person who's done work, who's just that zero energy example for everyone to I mean, you radiate that, you know that.
Thank
Um,
you.
that's very positive. Very, you're a way shower, and I can see that. So you
One
know what
deep
you're
breath at a
doing.
time.
Yeah, exactly. It is an honor, and keep going forward, my friend.
Much, Ishmael. I really appreciate you, man, and I think that's more of a reminder for guys like you and especially like man to man. Like I appreciate you connecting with me and seeing me and all of that, and that's more reminders for guys like us. The next time we might walk down the street and be like, oh, he wouldn't understand me. That's where we can find a way to connect and just show love or something like that, to go back into that childhood space. Because people like you and I, we pass each other every day, and we don't even realize like, oh, that's my brother right there, you know? And so really, really, really thank you for this opportunity. And I honor you, and I see you, and the love within me honors the love within you. So truly, truly thank you. And yeah, I'll keep you updated. I'll definitely send you a message. Thank you so much for the opportunity, man. For real. Thank you.
I'll see you soon. Take care.
All right, take care. Lots of love. Bye bye.